Hello folks, now the car we formerly knew only as the e-Tron is now the Q8 e-Tron, and we've got one for you here. This is the S-Line 55 variant. Now that 55 means you get a larger battery than you would if you went for the 50. That gives you a WLTP range of 323 miles, usable capacity of 106 kilowatts, and a 0-62 time of 5.6 seconds. You also get towing capacity of 1800 kilos, that's brake towing capacity, 408 PS of power and 664 Newton meters of torque. So it's certainly hitting some of the right numbers. We'll talk about the efficiency, however, in a bit. Now, one of the great things about this car is not only has it got two charging sockets, one on each side of the car, which is a stroke of genius, but it comes down like that, and that's very trick. It's capable of 170 kilowatt charging, which will get you 10 to 80% in 31 minutes. Not bad. In this Q8 e-Tron, we've got 569 litres of boot space, which is quite a bit less than you'd get in the standard Q8. But those batteries have to go somewhere, don't they, folks? There is a decent amount of underfloor storage as well. Plus, there's a little frunk in the front. Now, the Q8 e-Tron starts from 71 grand, but the one I've got today is almost 89 grand, and it's got almost £4,000 worth of options, one being the paint and one being the technology pack. On that technology pack front though, although you get plenty, you still don't get a heated steering wheel, which I think is a bit of a disappointment on a car that's nearly 90 grand. What do you think? In the back, super nice quality, everything you touch and feel is great. Loads of headroom and plenty of knee room, and there's even plenty of room to put your feet, so that's all a bit of a win. You do have a little bit of a protrusion from that center console, but still the middle seat is a proper seat, and you could travel there as an adult in a reasonable amount of comfort. You've also got quite a stiff armrest here with a little storage nook underneath, and really the only disappointing thing in here is the lack of USB sockets for your rear seat passengers, which does seem like a little bit of an oversight, really. So front cabin is a lovely place to be. It's very familiar to you if you're an existing or previous Audi customer. They haven't reinvented the wheel here. They've stuck to their guns and continued to deliver what is a very quality product. A lot of people don't like the huge sort of iPads that you get in a lot of cars these days, and this car doesn't have one. It's got a good size colour screen, it's very good resolution, very bright, very colourful. Infotainment system's good. It's perhaps starting to feel its age just very slightly. However, it integrates things like electric charging quite well now. More about that in the test drive. And you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay. You've got plenty of real estate for your CarPlay. So all good. And then down here we've got this permanent screen. It is capacitive touch for your air conditioning controls, etc. And you've also got shortcuts for certain things like radio and those kind of things, and hill descent. I prefer to have some more dials. I always like to have aircon on a dial. The ones that they used to have in Audi were the best in the business, I think. They were lovely. I am sad, yes. But this works, you know. There are far worse touchscreen systems than this one. In some cars you have to go through menus and things just to change your aircon. You don't have to do that in here. The voice commands also work really well. We've got a natty little gear selector here, which is just sort of a little rocker thing. That works well. Down here we've got a 12-volt socket, a little QI phone charger which has got a clip against it. Your phone sits on its side with that clip against it. Basically stops you glancing at it as you might if it were here. And you've got some pop-out cup holders under a little slidey lid, all quite nice, and a small storage cubby there. The steering wheel is gorgeous. Audi have had brilliant steering wheels for quite a long time, no exception here. The quality of the leather on it, the buttons, the dials, everything just feels ultra premium, feels fantastic. We've then got the driver information display. That is the Audi virtual cockpit that's been around for quite a while now, but it still looks good. It's still really bright, still nice and vivid. And I don't think it's really aged that badly. When Audi designed something, particularly with regards to the actual sort of user experience, the things you touch and feel, you can tell they spend way more time and money than many other manufacturers out there, and they get these things just right. And that means they don't need to change them every 5 minutes. This is a cabin without quirks and gimmicks, and some people might find that a bit too conservative or maybe even dull, but I just think it's quality. I need to give an honourable mention to the seats as well. We've got sort of a mix of Alcantara and leather, or leather effect material in here, really nicely cosseting. They sort of hold you in place. They're not full-on sport seats by any means, but they certainly hold you in the right place when you're going around a corner. Nice and comfortable on a longer journey as well. The electric seats in this one also give you really nice electric lumbar support. You've got memory functionality and loads of adjustment, so you can get yourself really comfortable no matter your shape or size. On the road, the best way to sum this car up is just smooth and refined. You don't want to drive this car like you stole it. You want to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride, because it's really quite comfortable, quite cosseting. You've got double glazed everything, side windows, windscreen even, and the amount of work Audi have done on acoustic treatment in this car is to be commended, and it really has paid off handsomely. It's rare to travel in a vehicle that's quite this quiet and quite this relaxing. As I said, the other side to that is it doesn't make you want to drive like an idiot. Now, although this car's got a very decent turn of pace with a 0 to 62 time of under 6 seconds, you don't particularly feel it. It feels quick, it certainly feels quick, but it doesn't feel like a sub 6 second car. And I think that's just because it is so quiet and so refined that you don't have that sort of feeling of speed as you would in perhaps a smaller car that's a little bit noisier. This is a lovely, relaxing drive. Suspension is really comfortable. If you go over obviously the biggest potholes and speed bumps and things, it will bang a tiny bit just because it weighs 2.5 tons, so how can it not? But by and large, you just float along the road in it. Now, a lot of EVs, particularly some large SUVs, have quite a few quirks. You know, they've got quirky designs, they've got quirky features, they've sort of done away with the old and brought in the new. They haven't done that with this car, and some people will say that's a negative thing. They'll say, oh, it feels old or boring or something like that. For me, it feels reassuring. It's something we know and like, something that works really well, and they've continued to do it. They haven't reinvented the wheel, and that's quite nice. Also, if you're going from a petrol Audi over to EV for the first time, it's not going to be as jarring as it is if you went from an Audi to a Tesla, because it's got a sort of familiarity to everything. You know where everything is. Everything works in essentially the same way as it did before. And yes, you could say the infotainment could do with a little bit of an update and things, but most people are going to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, aren't they? It's just the way of the world these days. So I think Audi should be commended for the sort of, if it's not broke, don't fix it approach. But certainly when you look at what they've done on some of the experiential things, like all that acoustic treatment, the way the thing rides, it really is hats off to Audi. Where you could give Audi a little bit of a kick in perhaps, though, is with the efficiency. The WLTP range is over 320 miles, but reality, I'm afraid, is something quite different. In the real world, I've been getting about 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. At its worst, I've seen it as low as 2 miles per kilowatt hour, at its peak 2.5. But at the moment, I'm actually getting 2 miles per kilowatt hour. You've got 106 kilowatt hour battery in this. So if you times 106 by, we're currently at 2.1, that's not 320 odd, is it? The WLTP figures are hopeful in some cars, and I think especially so in this one. I think in the real world, you're probably going to get between 220 and 260 miles of range-ish. Obviously the weather's quite nice at the moment as well, so in the winter that might be a little bit worse. And personally, I prefer it if we just had a more honest approach to these figures. WLTP doesn't seem to be doing the job for me. But if that range is a concern for you, there is some really good news thanks to the Audi built-in sat-nav. This won't work on Apple CarPlay or anything, but with your Audi sat-nav, if you plumb into that you want to drive to Glasgow, it will come up and really helpfully tell you that at Milton Keynes you need to stop at an Instavolt or an Ionity, and you need to stay there for 26 minutes, and then you proceed with your journey, and when you get to Leeds, stop at this one for 12 minutes. So that's really helpful. Tesla do it really successfully. Some of the others don't. Some don't attempt to at all, and some do it in a bit of a sort of half-hearted way. I think Audi have incorporated that really nicely, and things like that in the real world are far more useful than quirks and novelties that a number of manufacturers seem to spend their time developing, rather than things that you're actually going to use on a daily basis. Now, whilst this car doesn't have perhaps the sporty drive of something like a BMW, it doesn't have the bling bling that you might expect to see in a Mercedes-Benz. What it does really well. It's got a quiet confidence about it. It sort of doesn't need any nonsense. It is what it is, and it's proud of it. And I think if you want to fly under the radar a little bit rather than be shouted at or stared at, this car ticks those boxes. It's very good. I think Audi knows its customer base for this kind of vehicle, and it's done a great job of not alienating them, really. It's given them what they want. Not a bad thing. So for me, the standout points on this car are just that feeling of complete quality and refinement. Perceived quality is something that not every manufacturer gets right. Audi have nailed it here. The car has got that confidence about it. It's not shouting at you. It's not full of quirks and gimmicks. It is what it is, and it's proud of it. And that's a great thing about this car. It's got decent fast charging rate as well, so you know, props to it for that. On the bad side, it's not very efficient. There are far more efficient vehicles out there than this one. The fast charging obviously helps to counteract that, but yeah, if you're regularly doing really long journeys, expect to be spending a bit of time at a charging station. And really, I think the spec level could be a tiny bit better considering the price point of the car. Certainly a car like this, not to have rear connectivity, USB sockets and things like that, and not to have a heated steering wheel, I think it's a little bit of a miss. But these are minor first world issues, are they not? If you'd like to lease one of these cars, or certainly have a look at how much it would cost you to lease one, check out the link to Lease Loco in the video description and pinned as the top comment. That will take you straight to all the latest deals on the Q8 e-Tron at the time you watch. And please give this video a thumbs up. I'm trying to get 50,000 subscribers this year. Little old me. Please help me do that. I'd like you to be one of them. So please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching, folks. See you on the next one.